Good morning, students. So today we start our new chapter, which is plate design of plate girders, right? So before we start this designing chapter or design the girders, first of all, we understand the term. What is the meaning of plate girder, right? What are the actual definition of plate girder? So plate girder is an I-beam built up from the plates using bolting or riveting or the welding. So, a plate girder is a deep flexural member used to carry heavy loads over the long spans. Plate girders are used in structural applications where bending moments and shear forces developed over the long span beams are much more than the moment and shearing resisting capacity of available roll steel sections. So the maximum depth of this roll I section available is 600 mm. So before building technology advanced, it was common practice to use riveted or bolted plate girders. So flange plates and wave plates are connected to each other using angles and rivets or bolts. So many railway bridges of span of 24-meter to 46-meter were built like this. So this practice of using riveted or bolted plate girders is given up in 1960s. So nowadays, welded plate girders are built which are aesthetically good and light in weight as compared to riveted or bolted plate girders, right? So plate girders are deep flexural members used to carry heavy loads over the long span, which cannot be carried economically by roll beam, even when strengthened by cover plates. So plate girders offers lots of flexibility in the fabrication. So cross section of plate girder can be uniform or non-uniform along the length. So it is possible to put the exact amount of steel required at each section along the length of the girder by changing the flange area and keeping the same depth of girder. So in other words, it can be shaped to match the bending moment curve itself. So there are applications of plate girder, which is the highway bridges, railway bridges, deep girders provided in power plants to support bunkers as a gantry girder to support crane girder. The material in a plate girder is used optimally as a designer has a great freedom is varying the section as per requirement. So this has resulted in the expensive use of variable depth plate girders nowadays. So because of that, it is possible to have tapered and hunch girders. So holes can be made in the web plate girder to accommodate services uh, at the ends or near the supports where bending moment is low. Flange thicknesses or flange width can be reduced. So similarly, in the zone of high shear, the designer might choose a thicker wave plate. So alternatively, higher grade steel may be employed in zones of high applied moment and shear, while standard grade steel could be used uh, some elsewhere. Right? So what are the advantages of plate girders over the trusses? So the plate girders are economical for railway bridges of span 50 to 40 meter, for highways bridges of span 24 to 26 meters. So the cost of fabrication is lower compared to trusses. Erection is faster and cheaper. Plastic girders require small vertical clearance than the trusses. Plate girders offer lot of flexibility in the fabrication. Plate girder is a more easily painted than the truss. Due to compactness of the plate girders, vibration and impacts are not serious problems. So points where stresses are critical are fewer in plate girders compared to trusses. Now talking about the disadvantages, so they are usually heavier than the trusses for the same spans and loads. So larger exposed wind area compared to the truss, larger number of connections are required between the web and the flanges, low torsional stiffness, right? So next is a plate girder sections, right? So there are this figure given, right? There are several sections for the plate girders as you can see in the figure, right? So first figure, which is bolted without cover plates, right? It shows the simplest type of plate girder in which the flange plates are made of pair of angles and they are connected to a solid wave plate, right? And this type of plate girder is used for smaller spans and lighter loads, right? In case of larger spans and heavy, talking about this second figure, which is bolted with the cover plates, right? So it is used where in the case of large spans and heavy loads, when the where the bending moment are very large. So as the bending moment is resisted by flanges only, the flange area can be increased by providing additional cover plates as shown in figure. Right. Now moving forward to this third figure, it shows the mostly common use type of welded plate girder. In this case, flange angles are not required, and instead of using the number of cover plates, a thick plate is used as the flange. Now talking about this figure D, which is box girder, right? So when there are headroom resistance in the buildings and large depths of plate girders are not possible, the box girders are provided. The box girder provides a greater lateral stability. Now figure E, which is girder with the side plates. If the number of cover plates is to be reduced, the flange area can be compensated by providing plates inserted between the web and the flange angles. Right? So next one is the element of the plate girder. So the section of the plate girder is fabricated specially using the plates, and hence the girder is known as the plate girder. So there are various elements of welded, stiffened and unstiffened plate girders are listed below, which is a web plate, flange plate, bearing stiffeners or end post also known as EP, intermediate transverse stiffener which is known as ITS, longitudinal stiffeners which is known as LS, wave splices, plane splices, connection between flange and the wave end connections, right? So the top and bottom flange resist, right? So the top and the bottom flange resist bending moment, and the deep web plate resist shear force in the section. So to reduce the slenderness ratio, which is KL by R created by high depth and small thickness of web, vertical stiffeners are provided to give the stability against the elastic buckling of the web. So the stiffeners are classified into two types, which is transverse stiffeners, also known as vertical stiffeners, and second is longitudinal, which means horizontal stiffeners, right? Here, transverse stiffeners also divided into two parts, which is bearing stiffeners and intermediate stiffeners. Right? This figure shows a unstiffened plate girder. Right? Second is a transversely stiffened plate girder. Next is a transversely and longitudinally stiffened plate girder. So end bearing stiffeners are provided to transfer here. Here is the EP means end post, ITS means intermediate transverse stiffness, and LS is equal to longitudinal stiffness. So end bearing stiffness are provided to transfer the load from the beam to the support. So as at the certain end portion of the web of beam, which is act as a compression member, and hence there is a possibility of crushing of web. So web needs stiffness to transfer the load to the support. So if concentrated loads are acting on a plate girder, intermediate bearing stiffeners are required. Okay, so uh, to resist average shear stress, the thickness of web required is quite less, but the use of thin webs may result into buckling due to shear. Hence, when thin webs are used, intermediate transverse stiffeners are provided to improve the buckling strength of the web. So sometimes longitudinal, which is horizontal stiffeners are provided to increase the buckling strength of web if only one longitudinal stiffener is provided. So it will be at a depth of 0.2 D from the compression flange where D is the depth of web. So if another longitudinal stiffness is to be provided, it will be at a mid depth of the web, right? So web plate, flange plate, and stiffeners are all the plates in the case of welded plate girder. So they are to be connected suitably by building to form a single structural system. Just for example, plate girder. Right. Next is a self weight of plate girder. right? So the following are the empirical formula may be used to assess the self weight of beam or plate girder, which is W is equal to W by 200 kilonewton per meter, where W is equal to factor self weight of girder, which is unit kilonewton per meter. W is equal to total factor load on the girder. So while calculating bending moment and the shear force for the design of plate girder, self weight is also considered. So next is the optimum depth of girder. So assuming the moment M is resisted by the flanges only, the optimum depth of a girder may be found as given below. M is equal to F by BF TF into D, where BF is equal to breadth, TF is equal to thickness, and D is equal to depth, right? So BF TF is equal to M divided by Fy into D. So the gross sectional area of beam E is equal to 2 BF TF plus D into TW. So E is equal to 2M Fy into D plus the D into TW. So defining the wave slenderness as a K is equal to D by TW, put this value in the above equation, which means A is equal to 2M divided by Fy into D plus 1 by K D square. So for A to be minimum, differentiate above equation with respect to the D and equate to the 0. So as a result of that, we have our final answer D cube is equal to Km by Fy. So here, having selected D of the wave plate, the area of one flange plate is obtained by assuming that the flanges only resist the bending moment. So M is equal to AF Fy into D divided by gamma M0. So AF is equal to M by Fy into D into gamma M0. So here AF is equal to area of flange, D is equal to depth of web. So it is assumed that the web also resists the bending moment. So web area effective for the resisting bending moment is taken equal to AW by 8. Right, so the flange area required is AF is equal to M into M gamma M0 divided by Fy into D minus AW divided by 8. Here AW is equal to area of web, which is D into TW. So the depth of the plate girder is the paramount importance because it governs the stiffness and bending resistance. So the design has complied with the both strength and deflection requirement. The overall depth of girder D in terms of equivalent span L may be chosen in the following range. D by L is equal to 1 by 15 to 1 by 25 for the girders in the building, while in highway bridges DL is equal to 1 by 12 to 1 by 18, and in the railway bridges DA by L is equal to 1 by 10 to 1 by 15. So here D is equal to overall length of the girder, L is equal to distance between points of contraflexure, right? Our next criteria is minimum web thickness. So the identification of a laterally supported members as a beam or a plate girder is decided based on the ratio of D by TW. Right. So if D by TW less than or equal to 67E, right, so that the member is designed as a laterally supported beam, and if the greater than 67E, so the member is designed as a plate girder. Here D is equal to clear depth of web, TW is equal to thickness of web, and E is equal to 250 by Fy raised to 1/2. Right. So the thickness of the wave in a section shall satisfy some of the requirements. So first requirement is minimum web thickness based on serviceability requirement, which is given in IS 800/2007, clause number 8.6.1, page number 63. So first is when the transverse stiffeners are not provided, D by TW is then or equal to 200E, then the wave connected to flanges along the both longitudinal edges. If D by TW ratio is less than or equal to 90E, then the wave connected to the flanges along one longitudinal edge only. Now, second is when the only transverse stiffeners are provided. Right. First, when the 3D greater than or equal to C or greater than or equal to D, D by TW ratio is less than or equal to 200E. When the C is between 0.74 D to D, C by TW ratio is less than or equal to 200 EW. And when the C less than D, D by TW ratio less than or equal to 270 EW. And last is when the C greater than 3D, then the wave shall be considered as unstiffened, right? Here, when the transverse stiffeners and longitudinal stiffeners at one level only are provided for 0.2 D from the compression flange. Here, when the C is between 2.4 D to D, the D by TW ratio is less than or equal to 250 EW. When the C is between 0.74 D to D, the C by TW which is less than 250 EW. When the C is less than 0.74 D, D by TW which is less than or equal to 340 EW. And last, when a second longitudinal stiffness D by TW which is less than or equal to 400 EW. Here D is equal to depth of wave, TW is equal to thickness of wave, C is equal to spacing of transverse stiffness. Next criteria is minimum web thickness based on compression flange buckling requirement, which is given in IS 800-2007, clause number 8.6.1.2, page number 64. So here, in order to avoid buckling on the compression flange into the web thickness shall be satisfy the following criteria. First, when transverse stiffness are not provided, the D by TW less than or equal to 345 EF square. Second, when transverse stiffness are provided, and first case is when the C is greater than or equal to 1.5 D by TW ratio, which is less than or equal to 345 EF square. When the C is less than 1.5 D, then the D by TW less than or equal to 345 EF. Here EF is equal to under root 250 by F by T. So here this is a yield stress ratio of flange, and F by F is equal to yield stress of compression flange. So from this above clauses, some of the points are observed, which is if D by TW less than or equal to 67 E, then the plate girders may be designed as an ordinary beam without any stiffeners, but such sections will be uneconomical. And if D by TW is equal to 67 to 200 E, it may be possible to have a plate girder without intermediate transverse stiffness. However, designer has to check the shear buckling of web. So usually for the D by T ratio up to the 100, the intermediate transverse stiffness are not required. For the D by T ratio up to 250 E, the longitudinal stiffness at one level with transverse stiffness is required, and to prevent the compression flange buckling into the web, D by TW ratio should not exceed 345 EF.